Hi, we're here with the Uncommon View in the Leominster Plastics Museum on 117 in Leominster, Massachusetts. And we are in front right here of two of my favorite paintings, one of my little kitty cat at the bottom and one of my favorite seascapes at the top. When we came here, we came with the idea of having a 2-month exhibit. And so it's winding down now. This exhibit will be over on Friday the 31st, and another person will take my place here to exhibit, and that will be for the next 2 months. That's all by way of the Leominster Art Association relationship now with the Plastics Museum. And it's a very fine enterprise, I should say, for both sides. I think we've enhanced both sides. I'm Lou Lorenzen, a professor emeritus from Fitchburg State College, and I was at Fitchburg State College for 33 years. I retired 5 years ago. In this exhibit I have several of my watercolors and several of my ink drawings, some of which have been bought by people in this area and some of which had been purchased by one of the banks in this area at one time. As I look around here and see the work, it's about evenly distributed as watercolors or pen and ink. My own personal background is I had a Bachelor of Science degree in art education from Bowling Green University in Ohio. I am a Master's of Arts in Teaching Fine Arts from Assumption and Master of Fine Arts from Syracuse University. And I also have a Master's degree in Education Administration from Bridgewater State College. I found out from taking that degree what I didn't want to do for the rest of my life, so I decided to paint and be an art teacher. This painting on the top here is a picture of the ocean side in Boothbay Harbor at Ocean Point after a storm. And the bottom picture of Hopper, Edward Hopper is his name. He is sitting there watching a bird which may or may not be able to be seen in the dark area up here that came in the window. The paintings as I go are mostly full sheet watercolors except for 4 or 5, and the large ones are Pemmican Lighthouse and an eagle flying over the ocean, and another one of the Doris Jean. I have also an ink drawing of the Doris Jean. As a interesting sideline, the ink drawing came after I finished the watercolor, which is usually done in the reverse. I have 4 pictures on my right over here which are almost a family history. My grandfather, my father, and my stepfather. I was adopted at the age of 7 because my father and mother both were killed in a car wreck. But my mother was a full-blooded Italian, and my grandfather, shown here, is full-blooded Indian, and my father was a full-blooded Indian of the Crow tribe in Montana. I have most of what I have here I have done in the last 15 years. I did 2 pictures here recently, one of which is in Freedom, New Hampshire, where I just came back from. And I was just painting there for the last 2 weeks with my wife and I and a whole group of people in a workshop run by Tony Van Hassel, one of my watercolor teachers. This is my grandfather on the Crow tribe. He was a medicine person. I never met him very much. I took this ink drawing from a picture I saw on a Life magazine because it looked just like him. It wasn't really him, but it is to me because I put in all of the mysterious things in his headdress and his hair, the way it is beaded. There are a lot of animals and things in that, and I made it the kind of mysterious person he was. He showed up to pick me up at the airport in Dayton when I came home after being in the Marine Corps, and he showed up at the airport. Nobody knows how he knew I was even there, but that's not unusual because he came to my high school graduation and nobody knew he knew about it. He came all the way from Montana to see me. The reason he did that is because of my father, who was his son, had left the reservation and met my mother in Akron, Ohio. And that was a long way from Montana, in both culture and in distance. But my parents, as I said before, had been killed in an accident when I was 7, or almost 7. And I was adopted by Mr. Lorenzen. And these 3 people, these 3 men are the 3 in my history. This one in the middle is my father. I remember him. I had a photograph of just his face. The rest of it was all made up from what I remembered of the little house, the little apartment, I should say, that we lived in Akron, Ohio. And I remembered this room, and this is part of an illustration to a story I did about when I was in the 1st grade. I have several pictures that go to that, and my grandfather's picture also goes to that. And it's all about him giving me a lunar moth, which is in the table beside him in this picture. But this face in here was superimposed on my body because I was sitting in a chair and took the angle for it. But I remember him sitting in that chair all the time when I was little. And that's the last I remember. When I was adopted by this man on the right, my left, your right, who was a music teacher, and his wife could not have any children. And they were my she was my mother's 5th cousin. And they were married, and they lived in the same town that we did. And so I was adopted by them, but I had to take their name. My original name was Preston Douglas Price, but now I'm Louis Otto Lorenzen because his father's name was Louis Otto Lorenzen. And that's how I got my name. But this is a picture I did of him. He used to teach music, and he was such a wonderful person. I just remember him standing there, and he'd play the piece that the student was supposed to have all the way through as if it was an orchestral piece, and then say, "Isn't that what I gave you to practice?" And the student would say, "Huh? What? Who, me? Nah, not me. You didn't give me that to practice." Then he would take the little piece that he gave them to practice out of the orchestration. And it was a joy to have him for a stepfather. This drawing is a drawing of, it's called Savage Bucks, and there's a double entendre on that because Jessica Savage, who was going to write a story for Sports Illustrated about this, put down, was mysteriously had a mysterious accident about a New Year's Eve in 1980, I think, or 81, I'm not sure which. And this is about the Carol Rosenblum thing. There's a bookie here and Norman Rockwell here, and everybody knows that that's Norman Rockwell's bookie that's ticking book on the jockey that's on the weighing stand, and that's why I used him. And this is a picture of a Los Angeles Ram lineman in the stance ready to block. And so I used that for an illustration for that kind of article. It never was printed, though. This is Max. Max is one of those things you have in life once in a while. I didn't realize that people buy cats, no matter whose cat it is, or what cat it is. But when you draw pictures of dogs, they never buy anything but their dog. And so I've had a great deal of success selling the prints for this cat, and I'm glad I didn't make it a limited edition, because Max made more than he ever ate, I'll tell you that. And he was a great cat. The one about Hopper is the cat we now have, and he's making up for all the money that Max made me. So they've kind of evened each other out. It's a pen and ink of 18 by 24. Almost all my pen and inks are 18 by 24, but the prints of this are 16 by 20. So it came out very nice. One of the things I was talking about earlier was the composition of my pictures to Judy, and the thing is that this particular cat has this rule of 1/3, where the main point of interest is right on 1/3 of the cross or 1/3 of the way up, and you will notice that I use that a lot in all my compositions. So that's one of the things I try to stress also when I teach. It comes here, right on his face, this way, and it's right at a crossroad on that eye. on the left eye.
That's good.
This picture is owned by the Burns Insurance Agency in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. It's a picture I drew in competition to be the illustrator for the cover of a book called The Zero Factor. If you notice, all of these presidents, and that's what they are except for this person here who is the president-elect in the story with his wife, all of the presidents were elected in the year ending in 0, and they were all, up until Ronald Reagan, they all died in office. And either assassinated or by health. They passed away while they were in office. You have here Lincoln and Kennedy and Roosevelt and then Harding and Garfield and God, I can't even remember them all. That's one I forgot. But anyway, this particular picture was to illustrate the idea. It was going to be printed in black and red. This is a gun barrel in the zeros, because the predominance of those men dying were assassination attempts that killed them. And then there's the Capitol building back there. So this whole thing, and then the eagle, of course, to represent the nation. And that was one of those ideas that I got one time of just making this flag flow through there. So that was pretty much and this is the presidential staff here. The whole thing became kind of a mess after Ronald Reagan was shot in April of his first year of presidency, because this particular book came out in October that year without this illustration, I might add. It was deemed too energetic or too antagonistic, and so they didn't use it. This painting over here is a watercolor. I used the coast of Maine as the coastal background for this picture, and then I put the eagle flying across with its prey in its hands. It has just picked up a fish, so it could be either it's the American eagle, but I know a lot of ospreys and those kind of things fly around. But I also, this painting is one of my favorites. It's a watercolor wash painting in which the washes have been very subtly tinted and then overglazed, and it's very difficult to keep the control of it. It's one of my favorite paintings because it's one of the few I've ever done that worked out so well. It's a pretty picture of a very warm sky and a very cool ocean without losing the depth, and I just like it. It's one of those that sits around our house, and people ask me, well, how much is it? And I put a ridiculous price on it so that people won't buy it. So someday if somebody wants it, then I don't know what I'm going to do, because it's one of my favorite paintings.